Welcome back to the Ben Motorcycle Adventures podcast, your hub for everything off-road, dual sport, and adventure motorcycle. My name is John. I will be your host. This is episode 26, Ben Motorcycle Adventures podcast. Thank you for joining, and as always, thank you for listening. February 25th, 2019, I am getting absolutely pummeled by snow here in Bend, Oregon. I can tell you there wasn't much left on the ground when I got home last night. Wake up this morning, it is absolutely, positively up to my knees. It's crazy. This is going to push the riding out. I don't know. Whenever it stops, we're 2 to 3 weeks out now. It is piling it on. I would wager to say that things aren't too different. Where tonight's guest hails from, Colorado Springs. We're fortunate enough to talk to Chris Vestal from MotoMinded. That's MotoMinded.com and at MotoMinded on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, MotoMinded is here, and Chris is going to talk to us about imagining, designing, producing, and selling clever products for Beta, Gas, Husky, and KTM owners, whether it's LED mounts, rally kits, that air filter disc that saves your filters from the horrible OEM design, Moto Essential kits that really roll up a bunch of essential accessories that you might need out on the trail or get you out of a jam. All sorts of clever products for the moto community. And again, stoked to have them on because I use and trust these products. These are really great products for us. Really happy to have Chris come on the podcast and tell us all about how the company started and really where they're headed. One more thing here before we talk to Chris. Make sure you listen all the way to the end of the episode to receive a special discount code for use in the MotoMinded store. That's MotoMinded.com. We've got a code. It's good for 2 weeks, and it will save you 10% off anything in the store. So again, if you want to get a rally kit, if you want to buy one of those new anti-gravity batteries with the restart option, I have those on my 500s. They're pretty slick. Moto Essentials kit, like I talked about, that you can put your master link in, a wad of cash, some fuses for your KTM or Husky. All those things are available, and you can save if you listen to the end of this episode and get that code. So that being said, let's move into the podcast, episode number 26, MotoMinded. I got a lot of questions for you. Believer in what you guys got going on. I got to tell you, the XL80 kit I have for the 500, that's like one of the most amazing, kind of transitions I've ever seen on a bike. Bolting that on, really simple, and then riding with it as opposed to stock. I can't believe the difference, and then the adjustability that you guys built into that. That's a cool product. And then the Moto Dash, that's got to be one of the cleanest things I've ever seen. And your guys' kind of claim to fame is imagine, design, and produce clever products. I want to follow up on that, but you mentioned before we actually were able to get together here today that you were down at the Nevada Rally Pan Am Roadbook School, and I kind of wanted to ask you, what is the state of rally in North America currently? Is it kind of picking up some steam?
It is, and I think it kind of loosely parallels the adventure market picking up more steam again, and the rally just kind of, it's more of like, I guess, extreme adventure, if you will. So there's, some people at that school, just first time ever, what is a road book and how do you navigate and things like that. And it's really neat to see that. And there was close to 30 people there. And that was really, really exciting to see, because back when I got into it, 2010, 11, and I was full in at 11, helping my good friend Ned Cease do Dakar back then. He actually raced it in January 2012. And that was really niche-y. Like, people started to know, you could talk to a dirt bike or adventure guy and might not know what Dakar is or about that race. Yeah. And I think a lot more people know, just thanks to, things like Adventure Rider and other forums going out and all these Facebook groups. The awareness is just so much better, and we're seeing that. And so that kind of segued into me just relaunching the Rally Moto Kit. To some people, this is a brand new thing, but actually it is V2. I made these back in 2011 and 12 and stopped selling them in 13 just because it was, at that time, it was a nights and weekends thing for me. And motorcycle business was not my full time. So I kind of got away from it for, close to 5 years here, and seeing the resurgence and having in my head thinking about how, if I were to do it again, and thinking about that for 5 years. What would I do and how would I improve it? The timing was right. So yeah, we launched it last fall.
Yeah, the resurgence. Would you credit the likes of an Andrew Short and a Ricky Brabeck, racing the car? Would you give them any credit for the resurgence, at least on our home soil here?
I would as well. Like any U.S. rider, more so the visibility of Brabeck and Short really this year really, I think, peaked it for a lot of people to see the U.S. contenders. But if you followed it, if you're that rally geek like I was over the years, you'd be like, oh no, there's been Scott Bright and many other guys. And kind of where it started again, back where it started for me was my good friend Ned Season. Basically, I took a year to help him do that, and everything from helping build the bike, and that inspired the first Rally Moto kit. It was like, hey, we made a great kit here. He's the only American to finish on the bike, and kind of proved it. And let's see if we can sell a few more, and kind of went from that. So, it's always, there's, even who is out there, Bill Conger, which are some more, U.S. racer names that, that's always been around for us who have been following it for a while. But just where I think it hit your radar and the Facebook groups and everybody else's when, Ricky and Shorty did so well this year. Yeah.
Sure. I've been watching it on TV for a number of years, but kind of loosely, not that closely. But the last couple of years, obviously rooting for some Americans to do well. It's kind of a heartbreaker for Ricky, but it seems like everybody is kind of getting up to speed on this. And North America wise, do we have a series? Do we have rallies now?
No,
not yet.
Nope. No, I would say probably not ever. I mean, thanks to land use issues, lawyers in general, insurance. It's just to pull that off. I mean, think of the equivalent of the mileage to pull that off.
Sure.
Now this year the rally was short because they only did one country. They did, less days. The traditional rally being, a full 2 weeks with one rest day in there, it was the equivalent of racing from Anchorage, Alaska to Miami, and then still have another day after that of another like 300 miles to do. So, just feasibly doing that in our country, going across that amount of terrain, it'd be, it's impossible.
Wow. You put it in that perspective. We just had a podcast episode come out where people were talking about riding through, the northern parts of Canada and spending 3 or 4 weeks in there. It's hard to imagine riding from Anchorage to Miami in that amount of time. That's a lot of miles, man. Okay.
Yeah. So
I want to go back. Sounds like, and I'm naive, I just picked up on MotoMinded, at least on social media, last summer. But when did you really start the business?
2013 was the official launch, October 2013, and it was it was a good year and a quarter of nights and weekends. Just starting it off. I launched it with my first product, which was the Pillbox, and that one you can dig and find it on my website. It's just one of those little storage things that we do. The MEK is kind of a new version of that. So it inspired. I did in 2012. I did a rally race, N13. The bikes, if you remember, the KTM's just came out with fuel injection on like the 450s and the 500s. So I raced a 500 XCW fuel injected in Baja for the Baja Rally, and I had I carried a fuel injector on me because that was the one thing I knew I couldn't field service out in the middle of nowhere, and people are having issues with them clogging and things like that. So the whole time I'm racing that whole trip, I'm like, all right, there's got to be a better way. Let's make a little storage place for it under the seat. And that's kind of where it went. The product started first, the Pillbox, and I made a company, MotoMinded, to sell the product. So that's kind of where it started.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the Pillbox right now, and you bring that up. I go on some long rides. That's actually not a bad idea for me, too, to go ahead and buy an injector and throw it under the seats and forget about it. That's a great idea.
Yeah, where we moved to the MEK, which still has, to me, the fuel line coupling O-ring for the fuel line coupling. That's more important. Like, I've heard of stories, experienced it myself. I mean, you nick that thing, you're done, because that's on the high pressure fuel side. And that thing's either dripping like crazy or spraying fuel. And just having that, we kind of sideways stepped into the MEK, where people weren't having as much issues with the fuel injector anymore, but we're still definitely having issues with the microfilters clogged and that and that that little critical O-ring. So with that, we're like, okay, we seem to doing what we do and how we manufacture. We're not, when I started the pillbox, we're using additive manufacturing. I have 20 of anything in inventory. I don't have to go get that mold in China and order 10,000 and sit on them and pray they all sell. They quit selling. I move on. No big deal. We go to the next product. And it's fun that way, doing that, because once we prove that additive manufacturing can be used in what most people know as additive manufacturing is called 3D printing. What we do with 3D printing, we're production ready. We're the parts we're making now are as strong as plastic injection molded parts. We have lifetime warranty on dirt bike parts that are 3D printed. So knowing that, now we don't have to go that route with a plastic injection mold and do those big quantities and only launch, that's the risk in that is like, all right, if I'm going to invest 20 grand in a mold and even more and sitting on some inventory in these parts, I'm not going to launch the pillbox because that product is a niche product. It only went for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that would have been a disaster. Company done. All right, move on.
Yeah, so, you'd had a ton of inventory. You'd had some tool in China that you'd had to buy up front. Yeah, I get that's smart.
Yeah, so it's neat to be in this world where we're never at a lack of ideas and problems to solve. I mean, I tell my team of guys, and I have a great team, by the way, that, we're here. You see some of those days is like, oh, that's not working right. This is not working right. I'm like, these are all problems. This is why we're here. We solve problems, whether they be vendor problems or we're solving a problem on a KTM or, customer shipment problems. That's why we're here. We just solve problems for people. And, that's the neat thing to be able to do. We're back to, circle back. We're not at a lack of ideas or products to launch. It's more, how do we get them out faster and fulfill orders? That's really our biggest growth challenge we have right now.
So what is your background? How did you step into this realm of 3D printing or how did you come up with that idea?
I've been around it since 1992, believe it or not. So, it's that old story of old technology when it was first going is like I was at General Motors and I was in lighting design. I wanted to design cars and that was my whole background. So mechanical design, CAD, mechanical design, et cetera, got an associate's degree in mechanical design and went straight to General Motors and went through some of their, how they design, which was quite different than what I had in college. And, always wanted to be around that. And I was luckily I picked onto it and they kind of snatched me up and put me right into lighting the prototyping division at General Motors in the lighting division. And we were working like those I would say probably 3 generations ago Camaros. We were working with fiber optics lighting and that was kind of neat to get into it. And the parts we were printing were on a 3D printer, which back to that story of old technology, it was the size of a large room.
That's what I was going to ask. I'll bet that thing was huge.
2 full-time operators. Yeah, it was enormous. And we were lucky to get a part in hand in 3 days. And,
wow.
and it was brittle. I saved some stuff. And it turned to powder after a couple of years. So it's definitely come a long way since then. But I've been around it always been around mechanical design, I should say. And 3D modeling. That's always been my background. So when I got in the Rally Moto Kit was a neat thing to get into and kind of started the company was Rally Moto Kit when I first got into, dipping my toes, if you will, in motorcycle world. That was fun and neat, but then I was working around rigid LEDs at the time and, we'll just say I looked for when I was thinking about MotoMinded before I had the idea for the pillbox, I was going to design my own LED. That was going to be the first kind of product or problem I was going to solve because of my background in lighting design at General Motors. But then I came across Baja Designs and got to meet the owners and see their product. I was like, this is 99% of what I would have designed anyway. They get it. It's all about the optics, not just about a bright lumen LED. And being able to change out the optics and get the best performance out of those lumens on that LED as you can, and made in the USA. that's very important to me here. And that all came together like, okay, I'm not going to design my own. I'm going to design around these LEDs.
So that partnership with Baja Designs, that really just came from the fact that you saw the product and you thought it was the best, and that's what you wanted to pair with your product?
You got it. Yeah, because at the time I was doing Rally Moto Kit and using rigids, and I was talking to, and I knew I was going to go that route at some point to do brackets or some kind of LED problem-solving thing. So I was also a vendor and getting a bunch of KC highlights, just went through new ownership, and they were sending me their new LEDs, which are currently out there. Biodesign sent me a couple, and I'm just reviewing all of them and seeing them. And I was like looking at, performance, warranty, mounting options, the biggest, obviously.
Yeah.
And how we could make brackets around them. I was like, it was a no-brainer to go with Biodesigns.
Okay. Back to the Imagine, Design, and Produce. I want to kind of break this down. You said that obviously there's no shortage of problems to solve, but how do you guys, imagine a product for starter? Do you get a bike in the shop, or do you point yourself towards a particular machine or a popular model and start there? Or how is that process?
It's a lot of times, most of them come from, we ride too. And I want to get back into racing. I used to race too. So what's back to the pillbox. That's what inspired. It was idea racing. There's got to be a better way. This whole time I'm dealing with this injector in my pocket. And those ideas kind of come that way. All right, let's get a current year bike. We're lucky enough to have a dealership that lets us borrow brand new bikes and reverse engineer around them. So sometimes that happens. We also get ideas from the general public. Like if you look on some of our project pages and say, hey, you got an idea or problem, shoot it to us. And we've partnered with people that pitch us an idea and go, all right, you're going to get a cut of this. And it happens fast. The air filter disc is an example of that. That was a friend of mine sent me a link to a Thumper, I think it was Thumper Talk pages, maybe ADV Rider, and everybody's going crazy about their air filter getting chewed from the inside of that new thing. And I looked at it and like, I don't know. I had just bought, and that's, how this happened. I just bought a 2016 and a half KTM 450 XCF. So that was the new 17 early. And I looked at that cage too, and I'm like, and I looked at the microfiche, and it shows a twin air filter in the microfiche with a button there. Like, all right, this is a kind of it's an early production bike. They're going to solve that in 2017. Let's wait till so I didn't launch it for a little while because I thought KTM would solve it or Twin Air would solve it. And then the first 17 bike lands that I could get my eyeballs on, and I see it like they didn't solve it. We're launching it. So I drew it, I finalized it, drew it up, and it was on the website that same day. From the time I drew it to the time I was selling it was the same day.
Yeah, that's quick. That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah. And I had some ideas in my head. I was spinning a prototype. I had a prototype in hand, things like that. But it could happen that fast. Where, that's a semi-structural part. So that's not something I would like a new LED bracket. We would put that in the hands of a few of my, we call them our crash testers. We have a couple of customers and friends that were like, all right, if it's going to break, this guy's going to break it. And so, something more structural like a bracket, we would get tested. That would come to market a little later. But being the air filter disc was just, we know what stresses from the foam filters going on here. It's going to stick on the cage. Let's launch it. This is good.
Okay. The design element, do you guys have engineers in-house? Obviously, you use CAD, or is that all you, or somebody that's part of your team?
It's a team on that. So primarily me, but I also have one of my team members is Chris as well. If you call our customer support, he might use his middle name Paul, and just for less confusion. But he's also designing as well. I've back back in high school in the late '80s, I was drawing CAD and designing. So that's me primarily. And then Chris is picking up designs as well as Cody, who's also on the team. He's designing as well. And so that's one thing that we can, if I get busy or I have an idea that I can offload to them, it's great. But there's things like the Rally Moto Kit that I focus on. That's all 100% coming out of my my head, and going forward with that. So it's neat because I have this team that, we all wear many hats. You can, in one day, you might be working on a design revision, sending a prototype out, packaging an XL80 kit, getting it out the door, and then making sure the 3D printers are rocking and rolling. We all wear many hats here, and it's a great team I have right now.
That's a good dynamic for business too, where a lot of people can perform a lot of functions. It can help bridge gaps, and it helps people become relatable to somebody else who's doing a different job. I like that dynamic in business.
Yeah, and it's hard to find. These my team didn't just I didn't put out a Craigslist ad. It was more it's pretty organic, or there's people I already knew out in the industry. So it's challenging to find. It's kind of like, you have to be that jack of all trades when you come in here. As we grow, we're not going to have to do that. Like we talked about the next person we hire will just be production. That will then free me up for more design, so I don't ever have to touch a 3D printer again or put an order in a box. That's going to help us grow. Yeah.
Okay. And right
now, I'm doing it still.
Yeah. Bridging the gaps.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of the printers and the production, you talked about, obviously, use the additive manufacturing. What are some advantages to that? Or you've already talked about a few. And what are some of the disadvantages to 3D printing your products?
Yeah. I think there's a risk at quantity is the biggest kind of risk with the additive manufacturing. So it's not a huge one with us right now, because when we design something, they're still pretty nichey. Like, we make a headlight for, say, for example, the XL80 bracket for the 2017 and plus. That's what it's currently called. We don't know when KTM is going to change that mask. It's usually every 2 years. So we know there's a limited life for that product. They're only going to make so many bikes. We know, we're not going to sell 100% to bike owners. We're not selling 100%. There's competition out there. And we could assume we're going to make, thousands of this light bracket. We're not making tens of thousands. So there's a risk. We're not, our products we're designing, we know going into it, kind of what is our market? How many of these are we going to expect, the life expectancy of this product? Whereas if we were to go, the magic golden widget and come up with it, and all of a sudden we get 10,000 orders in a week, there's a panic in that, right? So we have, there's the risk in that, but, it's manageable risk. We know going in on that. So scalability is one of the risks, but it's not that bad because it's pretty easy to scale up these printers. We get them back to that, we strive to keep everything locally made as possible. We just so happen to have in Loveland, Colorado, not too far north of us, one of the best 3D printers out there as far as we're concerned. So they're made in Loveland, Colorado. We have 8 of them. Actually, we have 9 of them right now.
Wow.
And they're still readily accessible. We run them 3 shifts a day, and we could easily scale up. So we have 2 cabinets of 4, and we're about to expand to another cabinet of 4. And they're heated cabinets. They have their own little environment in there, and we run them, like I said, 3 shifts a day. So it's pretty easy to scale up. They're not horribly expensive. We're talking under $3,000, and we're finding them on eBay and things used, and throw a couple $100 into them, and they're running thousands of parts for us quite reliably. So the scalable thing is doable, but next day, no. If we get, for some reason, our marketing works great and someone shares something great, and all of a sudden we have, 300 orders in a weekend. Yeah, there's a small panic here because we don't have 300 LEDs in stock, and we don't have 300 parts hanging on the wall ready to assemble. But that's one of the risks, I should say. We don't have a bin of parts of 10,000 that we bought a year ago and we can go. But that's one. The other is the other challenge, I should say. It's not really a risk. Challenge is designing for additive manufacturing. So you don't design exactly the same way you would for a plastic injection molded part or a billet machine part, or like on our Rally Moto kit, the laser cut aluminum plate that we use. It's not all the same. there. Sorry, it's not laser cut, it's water jet cut. But design challenge is one, on that. But me being around additive manufacturing for a couple decades, I kind of got that, I got that figured out.
Okay, a couple things. That surprised me that your printers are in that price range. I would, off the top of my head, I would have assumed 10 to 15 grand per printer. That blows my mind.
Right. A lot of people do. Yeah. Yeah, I might have spurred some competition out there, but bring it on. You're not going to keep up. No, it's all right. It is where it is. We've seen people pop up here and there and design these little parts, and we even see on like Facebook, it's like, hey, I made an air filter disc. I was like, cool, good for you. We didn't patent it. We know it's out there. Go ahead and try it. But we have the advantage of we've got the market. We kind of with our marketing and our what we feel is our great customer service. We've built this audience that it's going to be kind of hard to catch up with us. So I'm not a big fan of patents. It's a broken world. So I'm kind of going off on a tangent, I guess, but it's kind of it's back to that limited life for these products. By the time you copy what we're doing and maybe you get going, we're on to the next product.
Exactly. Yeah, and the patent process isn't cheap either.
I often say this: the only person that wins in that patent is the attorney. You pay them to file it, and then if somebody encroaches it, you pay them to fight it. And rarely do you win. And it's really a broken, disappointing world in that process. Yeah, will I ever patent something? Absolutely. But at this point, I don't. With what we're designing now, it's like, yeah, have fun with these limited life productions. These products we have. Yeah.
So I've spent kind of the bulk of my life in the aerospace industry, and we're starting to see additive manufacturing come into play, and they're printing things out of rare metals and whatnot. Do you ever see yourself printing motorcycle parts, out of a titanium, for instance?
Yeah. I think the only reason we're not in that market is just the price of entry is just a little too high for me to justify. Where we're able to make it in with the plastic and our polycarbonate blend that we use, the strength is there where we could design just about anything we want. Yeah, it is limited, but where even those $500,000 machines that could do metal, even let's say aluminum, if we want to do that tomorrow and go get a 3D Systems machine and have it in our house, in our shop. I know people own them. I know people that own them for they print as a service. The maintenance contract is it's so scary that you have to have on it. And the people I know that own them, they said they're down more than they're running. And then you're talking strength-wise, they're still around the strength of cast aluminum. You're not going to get a built strength part out of it. You never, it's probably, I wouldn't say never. It's going to be a long way down the road till you're going to get something like a strength of a billet part. They're not there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. That's there's technologies. It's inevitably we're going to get there, but maybe a little bit further away than I assumed. Been through your website. I've obviously looked at all your products and I own some of them, but you're carrying LEDs and mounting kits, rally kits, helmet lights, guides. I like the Motorcycle Essentials kit that you pointed me to. I got to get one of those for my KTMs. What are some of the favorite products that you've designed over the course of the past few years?
I really like that. Well, of course, I got a lot of time in that rally moto kit, and I love rally, and that's by far my favorite. And it's not going. Again, it's a niche product. We're not planning to sell 50 of these a month, but I love every single one of them that goes out the door, and we serial number them. But so when you make an order on Rally Moto Kit, we ask, who's your favorite Dakar finisher? And we use that as part of the serial number. And it's laser etched into the frame. It's kind of, so definitely, it's a lot of passion, but I love that kit, and I'm really proud of this design and where it's at. I like the air filter disc too, and just that story I told. That's how fast it could happen here, from idea to launched really fast. Like, we're using the same machines to prototype as production. It's just what material and what speed, what changes. There's a product that we're going to launch this summer that I'm most excited about. It's going to be kind of where we're going with our with our LED mount system. So it's going to be something that we're not, with our say for example our X-L80 kit, we're in competition with Baja Designs, right? Because they make a mount for the same bike, and we just so happen to make a better one. But utilizing their great LED. But I want to, going forward, I don't want to be in that world anymore. I don't want to, we're not in a race to basement with them, because we're more, if you look at their kit, it's more money online, but we make a better quality kit and more adjustable, all those features that and mentioned earlier. So going forward with designs, I want to do less of that overlap. That's all the details I want to send. I'm really excited about where we're going to go with our LED mounting this summer. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Cool. I'm excited to see that come out. And as far as motorcycles go, KTM Husky, Beta, Gas, are you going to expand that at all or get into adventure bikes, which would bring me to my next question too. Can I expect to see anything for the 790 by the end of the year?
Yes, we're getting an early one, and I've already got ideas for it. We have a system that is going to be launched with adventure bikes that's not fully in production yet, but it is. Quinn Cody did an Upshift article on his 1290. He did like a follow-up, and he put some accessories on them, and then he did an Upshift video. And he mentioned this kit that we're getting ready to launch, and it's going to be on everything from the Africa Twin to the Teneres to obviously all the KTM and the KTM big bike line, and we're going to adapt it to the 790. And it's like a daytime driving light that's magnetic mount. It's the same mount we're using for our helmet light, but it's on the side of the fairing of the bike. You could dock it and use it as a work light, and then you could further undock it. You go ride at night on purpose or on accident, you could dock it to your helmet, and it has a more usable light than stuck on the side of the fairing of the bike. So that's one of our first forays. We're also looking into some mounts. The TrailTech Voyager Pro is a great product, and I'll be at that Rawhide Adventure Days. I'm testing a mount that we're making. It's a hard mount system that we feel is far superior to what they offer as an option for mounts. And I'm testing that, and that platform will work on all the Japanese and all the European bikes.
So will you be able to like incorporate that into your MotoDash or something?
Yes.
Do you think? Okay, that's going to be amazing.
All in that realm. Yes. It's where we're going with all that stuff, where we're going with these hard mounts that integrate with dash and LED kit and GPS mounts or whatever accessory mounts you want. We're making a more all inclusive direction with our products on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to hold off because I would love to get that product from TrailTech and then get it tied in with one of the dashes you have. I think that'd be pretty amazing. Cool. So, yeah, I mean, Chris, I think I've kind of run the gamut with you. Do you have anything to add for us, or where can we find you on Facebook, Instagram, website?
Yeah, it's pretty hard not to type. Just search MotoMinded in the browser or MotoMinded in a hashtag or whatever. You should find us. If not, we're doing something wrong. We try to post daily on Instagram and Facebook. They're kind of have a plan with our marketing. We're also we have an ad with Upshift online. We're working we sponsor the Gnarly Routes guys. So you're going to see, if you take one of their tours, you're going to be able to demo our bikes, including you, right? Take one of your tours. Yeah, you might be able to see our products, which is great too. So yeah, we're trying to spread out there the best we can and be everywhere we're going to be at. My goal is to be at more events this year. I thought it was going to be a little more race-centric with the Rally Moto Kit, but I kind of switched that up. I'm going to be at more events like Rawhide, Overland Expo. Of course, we're at the KTM Adventure Rally. That we've been there since, I kind of half-launched. The Pillbox was actually the first face-to-face launch. You could see the product. So I really love that event, and it's going to be in our backyard this year. It's going to be in Breckenridge. So it's going to be great I love that event because we get to see our customers, see our product out there, and deal direct with our customers. And it's about the only time of year we do a big sale is at that Adventure Rally.
I'll bet that's crazy, coming full circle for you to go to the rally like that and see so many of your products out there in use.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Like a couple of years ago, I was at the, where was that? South Dakota, and we were out there, and the 690s were just the bike. And we had sold a ton of those dual LED kits for the 690s, and I got a photograph of like 20 in a row of these bikes just parked in the cars. I was like, wow, we saturated our market. This is awesome. But it was kind of neat to see all of that, and I really get a kick out of that, and I love hearing the feedback. The customers enjoy what we're doing, and that's kind of what this is the first year I kind of went forward with the social media marketing. It's pretty much been word of mouth. Like I was bragging a couple years ago, I only spent $50 in marketing one year, and it was neat to see like an order in Atlanta, Georgia, and all of a sudden next week 4 orders around Atlanta, Georgia, because his buddy, he received it, and his buddy saw the LED, and they all started ordering. So it was definitely a neat organic grassroots launch for a while that I really got a kick out of. You're doing something right when you see that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got me organically too. I was a part of this Facebook group for KTM 500s, and somebody got one. I seen that, and I'm like, man, I got to have that. So again, it didn't no customer acquisition cost there either. Yeah, so it was a great deal, and I'm really happy with the product. Hey, for those of us who've never been to Breckenridge, what can we expect from the riding there at the rally?
Yeah, a lot of great, relatively easy to get to, like big, easy dirt roads, really, really close, and get up on some passes. And then single track is going to be new to me too. There's some out there. Some locals are going to be starting. I think KTM is going to be out this early summer to start planning some of that route. As also they're doing that adventure challenge again, and so that route planning is happening early summer. So I'm not sure where that's happening, but just that riding area is great. And that was one of their decisions, or I should say, I know the guys that helped source that location is KTM wanted dirt out of the resort. Like they don't, there was one year in Tahoe, and it was a half-hour ride to get to gravel road, where this was like, no, we want dirt out of the resort right there. And this is going to have it. It's pretty neat. So going north, south, actually all directions, there's tons of great riding around there.
Cool. Looking forward to it. And if they're going to have some single track, I'm going to have to bring the 500 too, not just the 790.
Yeah. I wouldn't say a lot of that, because it obviously is, they're probably cringing if they're listening to me, which I know they're not. They don't pay attention to what I'm saying lately. But, it's the adventure rally. So a lot of it's going to be, 2-track and dirt roads and things like that. And there's going to be a plethora of that around there. But yeah, I'm kind of like, oh yes, new single track to me. Yeah. Let's talk. And I think there is a good section of, good quality single track around there, and there's a strong local dirt bike group that is out there and helping keep trails open and things like that. So they'll be front and center at the rally and kind of highlighted, because they'll be helping, and it'll be neat to see that as an option, because a lot of people got, if you have a big bike, you usually have a little bike too. So we see that year to year. Yeah, they might be showing up with a 1290, but they also have a 300 in the garage, and to see that, be able to spend a half a day and go ride something, that'd be great.
Right on. I'm really looking forward to getting back to Colorado. It's been a few years. I was in I went to the National, went to Lakewood, in the Denver area. Loved it.
Yeah.
Lakewood really reminded me of Bend, but loved the area. So my girlfriend's never been to Colorado, so she's going to come ride the rally too. So it should be a great experience for us.
So a little, if you have time, a little side spur thing. I was listening to your other podcast, and you mentioned your girlfriend's vertically challenged, similar to my wife. Yeah. My wife's 5'0", and there's a quick discussion of maybe what she would like. And I'm going to throw a bike into that ring that you need to think about. So at least for a trail bike, not really a big dual sport bike, but that there's a KLX 140G, which has full size wheels.
Okay.
My wife just tried that and loved it. She had a Beta X trainer and lowered it and added a recluse and did all this stuff, and really did just threw every accessory at it she could make it to be, hopefully a nice trail bike for her, and just couldn't get to be that way. It was just still a little tall, and just a bit, believe it or not, still a little heavy. So for a trail bike, she test rode one. Cody, my employee, his mother has one, and we went out and tried it one day, and she absolutely loved it. So I'd say take a peek at that. Also, her dual sport bike it's an older KTM 400, and had that lowered, and that is a great bike if you could find one. The motor was basically the same as the 530 at the time, just same and the same counterbalance and all that stuff. So it's a beautifully smooth 400 and really easy to ride for her. Heavier, yes, but it's like to her, it's like that's the Baja bike. Put big miles on her, long dirt roads. That's her bike, and we even fitted a rally moto kit on there, so she can have a little windbreak and a GPS and all that stuff. So it's I just want to mention that before we let go, because I was listening to your other podcast and that came up.
Yeah, no, I think the last bike I bought from the dealership I use here in Oregon, I believe that's the KLX. That 140 is one of the first bikes that she walked to and thought that might be the bike. So that's interesting. And you said they have the full size wheels too, right?
Yeah, the 140G has the full size wheels, which we feel is important, especially on a trail bike.
Oh yeah.
Because when my wife started off, I got her I'm sorry I did this to her. I got her TW200. So basically the tires were the suspension, tiny little diameter wheels. They were wide and fat, so it helped a little bit there. But, I bought her, we still lived in the Midwest. And then we moved out here with that bike, and it was just horrible out here for trying to ride trails because those tires, yeah, they were wide, but they'd go down in every little thing. And we went from that to like a little TTR 125, and then she went on and on. But those that might be interested in listening, on Adventure Rider, she started a thread called the Shorty Pants thread. and there's all these other women that chimed in because we met another, a friend of ours, and this couple, and his wife rode too. And is still 5 foot or 4'11". My wife's 5'0". And that's a challenge, not just gear, but finding the right bike. And there's pages of great knowledge on that on Adventure Rider if you look up the Shorty Pants thread.
Yeah, I'll have to sift through that. And you should watch yourself, Chris. There is a cult following on the TW200. There's going to be some people really mad at you.
I still see one. I will try to redeem myself, but I still see one. I go, I would love to have that as like a parts runner bike to go, I would put a milk crate on that thing and go run deliveries out to the post office or FedEx or whatever. And I still see those. I'm like, they're maybe great for that. And I loved it. And I'll never forget. That was her gateway bike. I mean, that got her into it. She absolutely loved it. We just found in the trails we were riding, or situation we were riding, and the stuff I was throwing her into, it just wasn't the best bike. She needed something lighter. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my concern. We look at that bike too, and yeah, it's lower, but I'm a little bit concerned about the weight. I think that's a factor too, for sure. So, All right, Chris. Well, have fun down there at Adventure Days. I really appreciate your time. MotoMinded.com, at MotoMinded, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And, look forward to seeing what you come up with, and look forward to meeting you at the rally.
Great. I appreciate it, and thanks for inviting me to do this. This was fun.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, Chris, thanks for joining us for the podcast. I really look forward to meeting you and catching up with you this year at the KTM Adventure Rally in Breckenridge. And open invitation if you want to come back and talk about any of your latest products or recap some of your motorcycle adventures. I know you got a few years under your belt. You've got a wide open invitation. We'd love to have you back on the podcast. MotoMinded.com, at MotoMinded on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Do not forget to check these guys out. Make sure you visit Chris's website. He's got a lot of cool YouTube videos that explain his products, lighting solutions, mounting kits for your LED lighting like I have on the KTM 500s out here, which literally turn night into day. And then the Moto Essentials kit is another cool product that Chris and his team have come up with and developed. It's a nice little tube that stores stator relay fuses, master links, fuel line coupling O-rings. You can throw a wad of cash in there, some paperwork for your bike, whatever. This is nice and neatly tucked away on your machine. And these are the types of things, the stupid little things, that'll get you in a jam when you're a long way from home. You never have issues with a fuse or a master link in the garage. It's when you're out in the middle of nowhere and it's 95 degrees that you have these issues. So make sure you pick up that kit, attach it to your bike, forget about it until you need it. I'm stoked with all of MotoMinded stuff, but it's cool to hear that they're branching out more into the ADV bikes. I see a lot of opportunity on that 790. In fact, I need to email Chris some of the things that I've been thinking about. He's probably way ahead of me, but also, a mounting solution for that Trail Tech Voyager Pro. I want to add that to my 790. So I'll be interested to see what Chris comes up with in the future. Again, imagine, design, produce, and sell clever products. Thanks, MotoMinded. You guys are really innovators in the sport. Really appreciate it. Hey, I haven't forgot about that coupon code that Chris was generous enough to give us. So I've got a coupon code to save 10% in the MotoMinded store. It's good for 2 weeks from today. So basically 2 Mondays from now, that coupon code will expire. So do not delay. And that coupon code is simply BMA10. That's Bravo Male Alpha 10. It's all combined. BMA10 is your coupon code, courtesy of MotoMinded, to save 10% in their store. And again, just sift through the site. You got a KTM, Gas, Husqvarna, or Beta. You're going to definitely find something you need. So again, one more time, BMA10 is our coupon code with MotoMinded. And Chris, thank you very much for giving us that discount. BenMotorcycleAdventures.com, that is our website. Go check out our blog, review all the show notes, listen to past episodes. Looking for a off-road, dual sport, or adventure motorcycle tour in the state of Oregon? We've got you covered. I've had a lot of inquiries over the past few weeks. Let's put something together. Explore Oregon. Explore beautiful Central Oregon. I can show you some stuff that I guarantee you'll never see, not being a local. And like I've said in the past, I've shown some native Oregonians some stuff they've never seen too. So continuing to expand on my roots here. If you want to come visit Oregon, the airport's 20 minutes away. Killer riding. I've got all the spots. Check us out, BenMotorcycleAdventures.com, at Ben Motorcycle Adventures on Facebook and Instagram. And I want to throw in another plug there for my Facebook group for the 790. Again, KTM 790 Adventure R Facebook group. It's closed. It's clean. We don't have a bunch of people in there posting a bunch of spam or, any controversial crap in there. Pretty straightforward. But when I get my KTM 790, hopefully in May, I'll be devastated if I don't pick that thing up in May. But you can follow along with my build, and hopefully by then MotoMinded has got some killer products that we can bolt on and solve some problems. I believe Chris is getting an early release, as he mentioned in this episode of the podcast, so really looking forward to pairing up my 790 build with some of the stuff that MotoMinded is offering. One more time, Facebook group, KTM 790 Adventure R. Huge lineup of podcasts this week. Chris kicked it off here from MotoMinded. Tomorrow, another episode of the podcast comes out with Kinga at On Her Bike on Facebook and Instagram. She's also got a YouTube channel, On Her Bike. She's got a tremendous following. She's riding around the world on a BMW, and we really get to hear her story. Great podcast. And then we're going to follow that up Thursday with Jocelyn Snow. Jocelyn, seasoned adventurer. I believe at one point she had 37, 38 motorcycles. She's ridden all over the world. Awesome interview, and now she holds the record for the longest podcast interview we've done. I think that one runs well over an hour. So Thursday, you want to be stoked for that. And again, Kinga on Tuesday. So really, really excited about the guests we've been getting on the show and looking forward to where this is going in the future. So cheers, Chris, Kinga, and Jocelyn. I really appreciate you guys contributing to the podcast this week. And the people who are really going to benefit from this are you, the listeners, because every one of these podcasts is great. All these people are amazing and inspiring. Really, really happy about what we've done this week. And with that's all I got, guys. I really want to thank Chris again one more time from MotoMinded, and we will see you tomorrow with another episode of the podcast. Take care.